Joshua Williamson and Howard Porter continue the Shadow War as Batman begins piecing together the mystery behind Deathstroke's assassination of Ra's al Ghul, while Robin recruits a familiar face to take down Slade and his secret society of supervillains. Joshua Williamson delivers an action-heavy portion of Shadow War as Batman tracks Deathstroke's movements and pretty quickly figures out that there is more at play here. I quite enjoyed Batman immediately going with that Taliha is behind all of this, and it makes a lot of sense when it's put out on paper, being that Ra's was about to turn her and himself in to the police after all she went through just to get back the League of Shadows from Leviathan and fighting Manhunter and all of this sort of shit that she had to go through. Of course, it was all just a red herring since she didn't have anything to do with the assassination attempt, and it was a great way to get Batman and Taliha back to interact and maybe even get back together, or at least get romantically involved again, which Williamson teases there at the end. What I really appreciate about this issue though was that it was all meat for the story. There was no sign of tie-ins being set up or offshoots being set up, and since Williamson is writing the entire Shadow War event, the story stays structured really well and never strays away into other things. Everything has a reason to exist in this issue, and it's great. Howard Porter, much like Vic Bogdanovic in the last issue, is really suited for these characters and an action-orientated event thanks to his intricately detailed artwork and action sequences. I thoroughly enjoyed just the utter chaos in his action sequences and just the odds the heroes are put up against. Like, he draws these great sea of ninjas that both Batman and Deathstroke have to actually fight against, and it's depicted in such a cinematic way. It just looks really cool. Batman issue 122 was another solid installment of the Shadow War, deepening the mystery through Batman's detective skills while planting a few cool plot points and red herrings throughout the story. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. Batman issue 122 finds a hooded being journey through a destroyed city, picking up some of the ashes on the ground and vowing that he will never forget, and the people responsible will pay. Back in Washington DC, Batman meets with Cameron Chase at the bombing site, told by the woman the one time they finally get their hands on one of the greatest criminal masterminds of all time who was willing to help them solve crimes dating back centuries and give them Lazarus Pit secrets, he is then killed by Deathstroke. And on top of that, Deathstroke and Talia al Ghul both escaped. Batman calls up a digital hologram of the attack since he had eyes on the area in case there was any trouble. Chase wishes he wouldn't do that since she didn't want to see a man get shot in the head again. Batman wonders how Deathstroke got into the city and got this close, and Chase actually knows how. Surprised the Dark Knight doesn't actually know something for a change. She shows him a huge tunnel that has been dug on the outskirts of town and how Deathstroke used it to get into the city unseen. Batman knows that a huge tool of some type would have been needed to make this, and it would have made a hell of a lot of noise, so someone surely would have seen him, but Chase says that her team haven't come back to check for any evidence of any trail, but Batman knows there'll be no trail to follow. But that's not their biggest problem, since Deathstroke is one of the greatest assassins in the world, and if he wants to kill you, chances are he will. But when he shot Ra's, Batman was on him in 7 seconds, seconds that Deathstroke could have used to kill others. Chase knows that he shot at Talia, but Batman knows that he didn't kill her and he missed her on purpose. Chase asks why Slade would want her alive as Batman disappears on her. Elsewhere, Slade and his secret society battle the Demon's Shadow as the ninjas flood their base, with Slade thinking that this is some type of revenge for him killing Ra's, but Deadline knows he didn't do that, it was an imposter. Respawn thinks that they can take the ninjas, but the group know that they need to get out of there since there are too many of the killers. Slade and Respawn escape as Deadline holds the line against the ninjas as Angel Breaker introduces herself to the assassin, cutting through Deadline's bullets as she tells him that they have been commanded to kill Deathstroke. She cuts off Deadline's head, calling for Detonator to take out the building. Prometheus meanwhile leaves Slade and his son to die, teleporting away like a coward as Detonator fires a missile at the building. Slade and Respawn dive from the building as it explodes, landing on a nearby roof as Slade knows now he has to teach his son something he never wanted to teach him, knowing they must now hide. Elsewhere, Ravager drinks her worries away in a bar as news reports on Deathstroke's killing of Ra's. Suddenly, someone causes a commotion outside, throwing a bounty dancer into the bar as Robin meets with Ravager, telling her that she left without saying goodbye. Damien tells her that Slade crossed the line and he needs her help, but Ravager doesn't need to be convinced, getting up and wanting to go and kill her father. At the Demon Palace in Nepal, Batman takes down some of the on-watch ninjas before being confronted by an army of them who say that they knew he was coming and he isn't welcome there. Batman, however, easily takes down the myriad of ninjas before beating down the door and confronting Taliha, who knows that he could have just snuck in without her guards knowing, but he always needs to make a show of everything. Batman thinks that she would know about making a show of everything since she had Deathstroke kill Raish and wound her so no one suspected that she was behind it all. Taliha says that she is grieving for her father, and Batman comes in and makes accusations, and even after everything they have once meant to each other, she expected more from him. Batman knows that Raish has died before, so how is this time different? But Taliha knows that he saw his body was completely destroyed. Batman thinks that he did it as some type of martyrdom, but Taliha says that she is now the leader of his empire, and she defeated Leviathan just as she's defeated Batman before, and yet her father decided to turn them both in, and look at what that got him. Batman realizes that she didn't hire Deathstroke, and Taliha confirms as much, knowing that Slade was building an empire of his own over the last year and she was keeping an eye on it, and Slade just pulled the trigger first because she underestimated him. She asks where their son is, learning that Damien is looking for Deathstroke, causing her to try and attack Batman, not happy that he was sent to go after a killer. Her bullet wounds, however, take a toll on her, causing Batman to help her stand, as she says that the doctors did their best and she doesn't want to use the Lazarus pits right now since she doesn't trust them. She knows that Batman doesn't care about her or them, but Bruce says that he never wanted to see her hurt as Taliha removes his cowl, knowing he's the only one she would ever allow to care. Before Bruce can say anything, Taliha tells him to shut up as she kisses him.